Hey guys, it's Rusty with Rusty Seasoning with Everystuff, and you're watching Louisiana on Fire.
What's up, Louisiana? This is Tim Davis. You're watching Louisiana on Fire. We got Mr. Rusty Noel today, and my oldest daughter, Braxton, made this for us, and I told her I was going to put this on there for her.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
Mr. Rusty, she did this for us. So we did this, and I told her I was going to put this on the show today. So here you go, baby girl.
Good stuff.
See how far she can get with that, you know?
There you
all
go.
that artistic stuff. She didn't get that from me, though. But like I said, we got Mr. Rusty Noel here today, and I actually had the honor and the pleasure of doing a cook-off for Mr. Rusty with my neighbor Trent Michael Myers,
Right.
and my other neighbors Vance and Josh. We call him Bob.
Yep.
But we did that for him, and we won the People's Choice.
Right.
We should have won it all, but we won the People's Choice, so we came away with some hardware.
Yep,
And
I was
we
doing
looking
the same
forward to it again.
cook-off in Lake Charles at the
That's
same
right.
time, Apostolaya cook-off. That's right.
That's right. So Mr. Rusty was in two places at once, you know, so we're
Yeah.
repping for him in Youngsville, so we're doing that. So today, sir, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to sit with you and actually hear your story about what you've been doing for the community, for your family, and other young men and women along the way and everything. So first, let's start it off with, tell us where you're from. Tell us about
So
you.
originally from Holly Beach, Louisiana. You know, people think of me, they think of football, right?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have enough to have a football team. So I come from a town with no football. But we owned a grocery store down there. I was born in 1973. Actually, I was born in the Hackberry Catholic Church parking lot. They didn't make it all the way to Sulphur, so it was in the parking lot. But from Holly Beach, Louisiana, ended up in Moss Bluff, Louisiana. Finished school at Sam Houston, and then in a roundabout way ended up here in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yeah.
At UL.
At UL. And so when people get to know Mr. Rusty now, so when they see you now, who is Mr. Rusty today?
Man, it's crazy, but I wear a lot of hats, right? We have a youth football program. I work in the oil and gas industry. I work sales. I work in Covington, New Orleans area, so we do a lot of oil field events.
Right.
So people see me doing oil field cook-offs, oil field events, and I work out of town, so they see when I'm out of town. I'm a big social media guy, so everything I do is pretty much on the table. Everybody sees it. We have our football program, which I'm blessed to have an incredible wife and incredible daughter. They kind of run that because of time, you know.
Right.
For me, I coached up 31 years of coaching youth football, and I kind of gave it up. I still coach All-American games, coach Team USA, things like that. We'll go to Mexico and things. I like doing that because, you know, once you're a coach, you can't ever get rid of that passion, right? But you know, that's all part of me. Recently, because we just quite wasn't busy enough, I got into the seasoning business.
Yes.
Didn't do it to get rich. Didn't do it to try to, you know, be the next Tony Sassery. That's not me.
Yeah.
I was blending a lot of my own anyway, and thought, man, if I could, cook-offs is my passion. I love to competition cook, and I was talking to a guy on another podcast, and he says, man, how did you go from football to all this cooking? And I said, man, really? It's hand in hand. I like the competition cook because that's that competitive part from football, right?
Right.
So it was easy to just take what I learned in the kitchen and start doing the competitive side. So the seasoning I was hoping just to make enough money at each event to pay for that event.
Wow.
You know, whatever the entry fee was,
Yeah.
pay for my hobby.
Yes.
And fortunately for us, we're doing good with it, and it grew into a side business.
Yeah. How did you get into the cooking thing? Like, how long you been cooking anyway? Like, I mean,
So both my grandmothers were excellent cooks, and I used to watch and ask questions and pay attention. So when I was a kid, I would cook. My dad was an excellent cook. My mom couldn't cook at all when I was little. She couldn't cook. Kind of like at our house now.
I was about to say that's typically how it is.
It's
in
kind of
Louisiana.
like at our house now. My wife's over here laughing.
Yeah.
You know, I so my grandmother's cooked. My dad was an excellent cook, so I just paid attention. And like your typical Cajuns, we hunted a lot, so we were at the camp.
Yeah.
Well, when you're at the camp, the men are always scratching the bottom of the pot, man. Yep. We either flipping something on the grill or scratching a pot, and man, that was us. And I just, instead of running around and doing this, I'm too poor to have video games. I didn't have no video games. I just paid attention, man. I just loved it.
You just was cooking in the kitchen and everything?
And become a passion, like some people pick up different hobbies. Fishing, I never was a fishing guy.
Right.
Just cooking. I could cook every weekend.
Every weekend. Loving to cook.
Mostly competition cook. That's the football part, the competitive part. But, we like to do things like this weekend, the Marshland Festival. Giving back to the school where I was in elementary school. Johnson Bayou is where the kids from Holly Beach would get bused to school. They have a small program, and they rely on one fundraiser a year, the Marshland Festival. Called me, said, man, do you know anybody who could possibly donate some meat where we can cook a jambalaya to sell? And I said, what if I just come in and do it all, and y'all just make all the profit for it? So I called a few people I knew and got some help on the meat side, and I went and donated everything, and donated 2 days. We did 7 20-gallon pots. So if you don't know the size of a school from Johnson Bayou, in its heyday when it was at its biggest, it was 100 kids from kindergarten to 12th grade.
From kindergarten to 12th grade,
100 kids. Now, they don't have any. Like, there's just 5 or 6 per grade.
Yeah.
We got a graduation invitation a few years back from down there. One of the kids I knew, they had 2 seniors. So they split an invitation and just they both took their pictures on the same invitation and mailed it out to everybody.
Yeah.
That way they just had one invitation. 2 seniors.
2 seniors.
2 seniors. That was the graduating class. So they don't have money coming in like the big schools do. You can't just go say, all right, everybody give us $100. Now we got a few $1,000s to pay for this. You don't have it.
Yeah.
But I was told today they raised close to $6,000 this weekend, which when you ain't got a lot of kids, that's a huge budget.
Yes.
They got track, baseball, not baseball. They don't have enough boys for baseball. Mm-hmm. I was told they have enough girls for softball, so they got basketball, softball, and track.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. It's a start.
Right.
Getting back on the track.
Right. So it's fun to do those events to give back.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. And I was telling somebody, you do a lot of events, and I read people, and they're like, man, what do you get out of it? What do you get out of it? Watching these kids from that school, the boys and the girls, they all took jobs this weekend. Like the girls were helping inside, the boys were helping the men outside. Mm-hmm. Everyone made it a point to not only thank me, they were thanking everybody that was helping, all the adults. They worked their tails off. They were appreciative. That's my reward, to watch that kids. They still got some humble kids out there that are raised good, mm-hmm. and hopefully that kind of stuff is contagious. You see all the bad on the media and all the bad stuff everywhere.
Right.
Not enough of that stuff gets shown. Good stuff don't sell, right?
Right.
And it's unfortunate because I seen a lot of good stuff this weekend with those young kids. Man, it was incredible to watch.
That's amazing. I like that you're doing. And I wanted to ask you, where did your passion not only for cooking but for giving back, where did that come from? So
I had it rough. When I was little, we were really poor. I can remember times where my grandparents were potato farmers, and I can remember one time, and it's like yesterday. I can remember they sent us 2 sacks of potatoes, and we lived an entire month off of 2 sacks of potatoes. And ain't no baked potato with sour cream and cheese.
Yeah.
You got a baked potato, you might be able to get some salt on it out the cabinet if you could find some. French fries, you had a little bit of hog lard in the bottom, you can fry them down or whatever, grilled potato. But we ate potatoes only, and we lived off that for over a month because we had 2 sacks of potatoes. That's all we had every meal.
Wow.
My mom and dad got divorced when I was in high school. I have a documentary out that tells a lot of this stuff. I found myself just kind of stranded and between sleeping in a car or bouncing around on this partner's couch or that guy's couch or wherever I could find a place to stay. It was rough, man.
Yeah.
And I had some coaches, Coach Tom Brando, Mike and Matt Viator, which Coach Mike and I still talk. Coach Brando passed away. Fortunately, before he passed away, we were able to connect. and I was really able to tell him exactly what he meant to me and how he got me through it. It's another reason for my passion for coaching, right? Because it's these coaches. Coach Matt Viator coaches at UL now here. Small world. My son was on the staff at UL. He's at Lafayette High coaching now, but he was on staff at UL, and him and Coach Matt shared an office. So one of the men who really impacted me and influenced me shared an office with my son, and my son didn't know half of what this man had done for me.
Right.
He said, I explained that to him, but it's coaches that helped and helped me out and molded me and made me decide that's what I want to do. I want to help kids. I went to do a thing the other day. We do Wing Wars competition. We did pretty well this year. We won 2 categories, but where we did the best was we won the fundraising championship for the event. Saving Grace Project, they help homeless kids. Over 2,800 homeless kids in the Acadiana area.
2,800 kids.
Documented in the Acadiana area.
Wow.
So I just went and cooked for a fair that they had. I say fair, like it's kind of like a job fair, but it's for documented home. It was in St. Martinville for the homeless, to show them the resources that they possibly would have.
Right.
And that's what Saving Grace does. They help the homeless kids. So man, it's not about a chicken wing and a seasoning and a sauce, man. When you're helping that on the backside and getting to do something you're passionate about, that's just man, there's nothing better than that. We do it with the family. So one thing I've done with my kids is from an early age, our kids have always saw us helping people. And I wanted them to know that this is how it's supposed to be. My wife and I started a buddy ball league for special needs kids in the park, just because it was needed. On a Wednesday night, they gave us a field to use, and what I would do, my wife and I would schedule a regular league team, older preferably, that way they knew kind of play with the kids. We would rotate boys baseball or softball, and we would get out there with our special needs team. We'd never practice, we'd just go out there and play. And it gave those kids a chance to feel like a normal kid. And it's not that they're not normal, but they don't get to feel normal. They get to be treated different, even though, you think, no, they do. They can't run out there. And what started that is, man, I was watching, and for some particular reason that year, we had a lot of special needs kids, whether it be autism, Down syndrome, muscular dystrophy, physical limitations in wheelchairs and walkers, and it just aggravates you. You would see there, and they're sitting there patiently smiling, cheering for their brother or sister at the park, and you think, man, what can we do to have somebody cheer for them? Till this day, I would have the same speech with the kid, the team that would play us, right? And I would tell them, hey, look, you got to let them win. Don't be crazy. But you got to understand that where you take for granted that you can come out and practice or you can come out and do this, they can't do that every day.
It's true.
This is their day.
And
it's up to you to make it for them. And man, I'll see kids that are in their late 20s. Shane Vallo with Shane's Quesadilla Burgers. Shane was on one of that's how long ago this was. Shane was on one of the teams that played us. And Shane will still tell you to this day, man, that's one of the best things and I would end my speech going, you don't realize this now, and you're not gonna, but you're gonna get more out of this game than they will. They're gonna get the instant part of the game. You're gonna get more out of it than they will in life. And those kids will still come back and say, Coach, we won the championship this year, and it still wasn't as fun or as exciting as when we played your buddy ball team, Coach. You get to see that happen for these kids, and even though you're a youngster yourself, it just makes everybody happy. I'm gonna share a video tonight that popped up on my page we got a phone call from the World Series, Pony World Series
Yeah.
softball tournament, and said, man, would you love to take your buddy ball team and come play? We have another buddy ball team from Texas, and y'all play each other at the World Series. And we're like, all right, let's go. And I got with the parents, and I already knew the World Series. They do the little pins, and then they do the pin trading.
Yeah.
Man, I had already bought 1,000 pins. It had
Yeah.
some towels monogrammed, and to where our kids could trade pins with everybody.
Right.
What I didn't know is how popular they were going to be when they rolled up on the scene, right?
Yeah.
Man, them kids, they were out of pins in a minute.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted a buddy ball pin. And I also didn't know, man, I'm tearing up now thinking about, I'll rewatch that video today, but
Yeah.
they stopped in the middle of every game in that World Series tournament. When it was time for us to play them, they stopped every game, made every team come to our field.
Come on.
It was, man, it was intense.
Yeah.
And so they have a little girl, I'll never forget. Her name was Macy, 10 years old, from Dallas on the other team, blind. And she gets up to hit the ball, and the lady comes out in the middle of the field and says, everybody has to be quiet so she can hear the ball coming.
Wow.
You could, 1,000 people around the field, and you could hear a pin drop in the ballpark. And I got the video. I was videoing it on the field. And thank God I was wearing sunglasses because I was crying like a baby. Man, she whiffed a couple, and then next thing you know, he'd say, here it comes, and he'd throw it. And I watched it, and she had a helper on each base. Mm-hmm. They would holler her name till she got to that base, and then she would go to and they would be quiet, and then she'd go to the next voice. She would run from voice to voice, right?
Yeah.
Well, I watched a 10-year-old blind girl hit a home run in a Youth World Series game.
Wow. That's just to know like what that meant to her, like
it was and it's crazy. They brought this kind of popped up. It came up on my page today.
Yeah.
You know how you get the 10 years or whatever.
Yeah,
it came up today.
Stuff. Yeah.
So not only did I'm going to go back and reshare it. I copied the link so I can make sure I have it. But I use it in football because you'd have a kid, Coach, I can't do this, I can't do that. Say, man, I watched a 10-year-old blind girl hit a home run in a World Series.
Right.
And you telling me you can't do this drill?
Right.
And they look at me like all crazy. And for years, I had that video right out, and I'd show them, and they're like, all right, Coach, I'll figure it out. I can do it. So, don't tell me you can't.
Right.
Don't tell me you can't.
No.
Man, I'm a poor boy from Holly Beach, and I've never had can't in my vocabulary.
You have to make a way.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
Yeah. You've been through a lot because we were talking about that before. I can't imagine all the stuff that you've been through, and to where I would have never known any of that just because of like the spirit that you have. I would have never known that you came up hard, came up rough, you came up underprivileged.
It was, and when I was real young, my family owned a grocery store and had a little bit of money, so a lot of people seen that part and thought, oh, he didn't come up rough.
Yeah.
But then they didn't see the part where they went bankrupt and almost starved to death. And then in the 80s, my dad, when that happened, he got into the oil and gas industry. Well, then when the crash of the 80s hit, man, we moved to Panama City, Florida, because back before my dad had bought the grocery store, and he was a cop, but prior to that, he did bricklaying work when he was a young man. So the housing boom in Florida was wide open. So we moved to Panama City, Florida, and he'd bricklay houses. And but man, we found a place not much bigger than this, and I posted that because how things come full circle, right?
Yeah.
We go to Panama City on vacation about every 2 or 3 years, and I'd go to that house. That house had 1 bedroom, and then it had a lean-to garage that had carpet on top of dirt. And my dad closed that in, and we rented that place. We couldn't afford gas, so man, we had a wok that was electric. We had electricity, and we had a water well. So we had water from the water well. It was yellow, everything was yellow, it stunk, it was bad. But we had an electric wok sitting on top of a gas stove. We couldn't afford the gas, so we had an electric wok, and everything we did was noodles or rice or something in that one electric wok.
Wow.
That's it. And man, we like to starve to death. And the oil field had picked back up. I was in middle school, probably fifth, sixth grade, somewhere around there. We lived there for just over a year. My dad got a call for another job back in Lake Charles, so we moved back, which was fortunate because for me, I got to reunite with my old buddies and friends and things like that, and be around family. And then like I was saying, once my mom and dad got divorced, man, I was kind of on my own, and it was rough. It was rough. You got to make a way.
Right.
I tell a story. I was telling one of my Swamp Cat sponsors is a dentist in town, Quest Pediatric Dentistry, Troy Miller.
Yes.
Troy's a good buddy of mine.
That's where
man.
my daughter goes, yes.
Troy is the most incredible human being you can imagine, man. Troy is 100% helps our football program. He gonna get mad at me saying this because he don't like people knowing, but Troy pays tuition for kids at college that can't afford it. Troy goes out his way and don't want to be recognized.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
Wow.
But he and I were at a house party one night with some other friends, football family, shall I say.
Yeah.
And he said, he was talking with the other guys, and they were talking about, man, pain, this, man, I remember breaking my arm, I remember breaking this, and so it got into what was the most pain you've ever felt. And I'm sitting back, and they asked me, and I said, man, the most excruciating thing, I'm a teenage kid, I'm sleeping in my car, and I start getting a pain. My teeth in the back hurt so bad. Well, back then, it's not like I could just Google or try to figure it out. Couldn't go to a doctor, I didn't have no money or insurance.
Right.
So I figured, gotta be two bad teeth, so if I pull my two back teeth out, they'll quit hurting. So I went to a store that would sell alcohol to underage kids. We knew where to go, right? I'm in high school, I knew. But all I could afford was a bottle of Black Velvet. I don't even know if they still make Black Velvet.
Sounds scary.
Thank goodness I do have enough money to where I can drink Jack Daniels now, like the Jack Daniels, and not Black Velvet. But I got a small bottle of Black Velvet, drank some, swished my mouth with some, cleaned a pair of vice grips, and pulled my two back molars out.
Come on.
In the car. And chewing on clothes and socks to try to stop the bleeding. Well, come to find out, being a teenager, wasn't my back molars, they were just fine. My wisdom teeth needed to come out.
Man.
So I'm 51 years old, and my top are still in, they just never hurt.
Yeah.
My two back teeth that I use for molars are my wisdom teeth, they're at an angle. But by pulling my molars out, that wasn't loose and usually would have to be surgically removed.
Right.
I pulled them out with vice grips and Black Velvet whiskey, and it took weeks for the pain to stop because that shit hurt.
Yeah.
But it made room for my wisdom teeth to just come out on its own, and they didn't come out like a molar. They're at an angle, so.
Yeah.
But I'm 51, and my back wisdom teeth are still what I use for my back teeth today, from pulling my molars out with vice grips. Troy said, "There's no way." I said, "You're a dentist."
Yeah.
He goes,
check.
"You got to be joking." He said, "Man, how painful was that?" I said, "Y'all talk about your broken bones. That was the most pain." He said, "Man, I give up. Ain't no way."
Yeah. You won that one. God.
Yeah, man, I'll remember that like it was yesterday, man. It was the most excruciating thing I ever felt in my life, and I've had some pain.
I mean, like, for you to be going through that stuff, like, how does someone like you at that age and younger, like, not give up? You know?
You don't think well, there's a lot of reasons. You got coaches that are like, back then, they wouldn't get involved, right? Like they knew something wasn't right, but they didn't know I was, living here, living there, bouncing around. They didn't know any of that. They just knew something wasn't right.
Right.
I remember school lunches. Man, I'd eat half my lunch and go throw half in the car, so I'd have something to eat that night. It's almost like you go into survival mode, right? You don't think about, oh, poor me or this and that. You go into survival mode.
Yeah.
And you just put your head down and grind. I remember lying and forging my mama's name on a minor work release. And man, I had a job in the plants. I was too young to work in the plants and scared to death of heights. And man, I would climb cable trays in the top of these big plants as they were building them, and pull cable for the electricians, and then run them down so then they could come in during the day and wire everything up, the licensed electricians. But all I did was I get in them little cable trays, and I was a big old boy, man. Them little trays would rock and roll, and man, I'd look down and sit there with a panic attack for 20 minutes, you know. But I'm in the top of these plant towers pulling wire, and man, how 15, 16 years old, you know, doing a grown man job, but I was making money.
Right.
Just things, man. You just survive, man. You survive, and then it builds you. You know, either fold or make you stronger, and it made me stronger. But it made me also compassionate to see things like that.
Yeah. Right.
You know, there's subjects that people don't like to touch that, man, I jump right in. You got here.
Yeah.
You seen my future son-in-law.
Right.
You seen my grandbabies.
Yeah.
Race is a subject a lot of people don't want to touch. And I dive right into it.
Yeah.
And I was asked by a friend. We don't talk much no more. Not that I had to stop being friends, but when you know somebody thinks different, you just distance yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, good, I ain't got to go in all that with you. I just don't. So we went from really good friends to I probably hadn't talked to him in 2 years.
Yeah.
He asked me, man, what do you think about your daughter going to marry a young black man? I said, well, first of all, I didn't think much of it because he's a good man.
Yeah.
I said, but let me tell you how I feel about all this. When the two people that are supposed to care about you most in life really treat you bad or crap on you, and they're both white people, how can now I judge or talk about somebody because they're a different color?
Yeah.
You know, so if he's a bad guy because he was a different color, it should be okay. If he's a good guy and a different color, we gotta ask how I feel about that.
Right.
Shouldn't have to ask me that.
Right.
But when, like I said, you know, when the two people that's supposed to take care of you the most, are white people.
Yeah.
So that just for me, it made me understand that, man, I've seen the ugliest in everybody, and I've seen the most beautiful in everybody. You gotta just know people, man. You gotta just love people, and you know, it's just that's petty stuff to me.
Oh yeah.
You don't pay attention to that. I've never did. My wife, you know, none of us. You know, it's just that's, and I've raised my children that way. And I love to see it. Yeah. It's incredible that I see my daughter happy. Yeah. And I see an incredible young man taking care of her and the babies and doing all this. That's all I ever wanted for my daughter.
As a father, right.
So did I ever think about anything else? Nope.
Right.
No, it just wasn't a thought process.
No.
But I'm comfortable enough to bring it up and talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up to him and talk about it. You know, hey, you know, I pick at him a lot because, you know, I got a serious side and a compassionate side, but I'm known to be a comedian from time to time, and I pick with people a lot, and he catches a lot of it. But he's a son-in-law, you're supposed to, right?
Exactly, right. Yeah, the same way with me, because like my wife is white, so my kids are mixed, you know, so that's, I when you brought that up, I'm like, I know exactly how you feel and everything. And you do remind me of my father-in-law and everything too, you know.
He mess with you a lot, don't he?
Oh, yeah.
Supposed to.
Yeah. But that's love. And I'm the type of person, if I don't mess with you, that means I don't like you. Oh, you know? So if I mess with you, that means I like you. And I mean,
that's me, man.
Yeah.
I love him. We cut up. We do cook-offs together a little bit. He's getting to learn his father-in-law a little bit better as we go on. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Stuff.
I wanted to, like, because we're going to go into this, because this is where we're going to really go into the, we're going to go to part 2 with this one, but we're going to talk about the cook-offs, and we're going to talk about the football and all that good stuff too, because I know you also got a couple of players that played for you that went to the league and everything, so we're going to get into that as well. So right here, we're going to be signing off. Y'all stay tuned for episode 2. This is Mr. Rusty Noel, Tim Davis, Louisiana on Fire. Catch you on the next one. Yeah. What's up, Louisiana? Thanks for watching another episode of Louisiana on Fire. make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Oh, and don't forget to hit that bell so you can be notified for the next episode.